Hi everyone. So I just wanted to make this video just kind of giving you an update on everything having to do with the state of the world and the election and all that good stuff. I read souls and I read universal energies. And when I do a read on Donald Trump's soul, I'm getting, let's put it this way, his higher self is miserable and he's been hanging around with me a lot lately for comfort. It feels like his higher self just feels good knowing that I can hear him, and almost like he gains a sense of comfort just hanging around with a channel. So his higher self is very much not happy right now. Feels a little out of sorts and anxious and really trying to cut through Donald Trump's ego. So according to Donald Trump's higher self, he's experiencing anxiety right now and depression because he's getting it from all sides. He's got people constantly casting darkness at him who don't like him, who are angry at him for what he's doing. Just the law of attraction's kicking in because he's aligned himself with falsity. So he's getting it from all angles. I recently saw an interview with Michael Moore where Michael Moore was saying that he's getting it from all angles. So it's not in the news, but it's going on behind the scenes. And yeah, Donald's higher self is definitely sending him negative emotion right now, for sure. So he's making sure he's not happy. He's making him uncomfortable for a reason because Donald Trump's higher self wants him to go back to his regular life. I don't know if that's going to happen because the other side kept having me use the word leaving, which means Donald Trump leaves his position. And I don't know if it's voluntarily or involuntarily, but he's leaving. Let's put it that way. So I don't know if he's going to be afforded the opportunity to go back to his old life, but I really hope that happens because his higher self just, that's what he wants. So that's where I feel that kind of desperate energy where it's like, Donald, your decision to become president was egoic in the first place. It was completely impure. Please just go back to your old life. It's an act of self-love. So that self-love, you know, it's a hard truth to grasp, but like I said, when I do a read on Donald Trump's soul, this is his truth. It is not his life purpose to be president, so Donald Trump has a choice to embrace his truth or not. So, gotta cut through that ego in order to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, if you wanted a red carpet rolled out for him that led to his old life, he should have done it before January 20th. That's when his higher self was coming down on him hard before he took the seat. So the fact that he didn't follow that path of truth, it's like, okay, everything just got harder for you. Yeah, so that's Donald. And Bernie, when I do a read on his soul, obviously, it's his life purpose to be president. That hasn't changed. Pure intentions, heart-focused work, doing a good job of speaking his truth. He's becoming America's sweetheart. So like I said, he's, you know, gaining more and more traction, becoming more and more popular, and people are kind of in the dark looking around for a light, and they're noticing him. They're seeing him, and they're doing a read on him with their gut and their intuition and their head and their heart, and they're seeing if what he says resonates with them. So the words coming out of Bernie Sanders' mouth is making a lot of sense to a lot of people. So, you know, him speaking his truth and opening up that throat chakra is awesome. It's what he's supposed to be doing, shining his light. Now, the whole People's Party thing, I can't force his free will. And honestly, like, if there's one criticism I could give this whole situation, it's I would blame nobody for saying, Christine, you're not being aggressive enough. Like, why aren't you hanging yourself off the side of a building to get people's attention? Why aren't you banging your tambourine louder? Why aren't you jumping on Donald Trump's back and putting him in a sleeper hold? Why aren't you jumping on Bernie Sanders' back and putting him in a sleeper hold and getting him to join the People's Party? Like, Christine, why aren't you being more aggressive? And I just want to let you know this is representative of how the other side works. They are extremely respectful of free will to the point where it actually bothers me how respectful they are of free will. The other side is extremely uncontrolling. Is that a word? Uncontrolling? Non-controlling? Not controlling. So they are not, they let you make your free will decisions, but the problem is we have free will, But free will has consequences. So when I'm sitting here like, oh, okay, well, you guys can decide whatever, I also know that there's consequences, and the other side just allows those consequences to happen. The same way they allow you to make your free will decisions. So their passivity, you can also get bit. I have no idea, what happens if Bernie doesn't join the People's Party. I just know that he has shackled himself to the dark. And so when the divine wants to initiate karmic balancing and turn up the volume on the law of attraction, what's going to happen to Bernie if he's shackled to the dark, right? Not a good sitch. So that's why I'm hoping that his free will pulls him away from the DNC and into the People's Party. So that's Bernie's soul, right? We're just trying to get him to align himself with the people, and he'll take off like a rocket. And that's another thing. It's been pretty tough to read the news lately and see all of these psychic predictions people are making. It's like, oh, the People's Party will fail. It's like, no, it doesn't. You're wrong. Oh, let's split the Democratic vote so that the Republicans win. No, you're wrong there too. So it's funny because Albert Einstein valued the intuitive mind over the rational mind, and now I know why. Because every time I read these news articles, everyone's using their head. Cold hard logic. Cold hard logic wins the game. Wrong. Nope. The intuitive mind is stronger. So it's interesting to read these news articles and be like, no, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Nope. All these assumptions. So many people making these assumptions. Well, I can't do that because of this. It's like, no, you can. And if you do, you succeed. Just so you know. So that's been really hard for me, is people having these energetic blocks and limiting beliefs based on just these assumptions and these random predictions that they're making. So I think that's why it's been really interesting to see other people where I listen to the words coming out of their mouth and I'm like, are you psychic? Like some of the things Nick Brana from, draftbernie.org, some of the things he says, I'm like, are you psychic? That's totally dead on. And then some of the things that Michael Moore says, I'm like, yep, you're right. Like Michael Moore said, Donald Trump gets us all blown up. Yep. That's the alternate reality that I see. If Donald Trump stays president, we all get blown up because his egoic decisions get us blown up. Him and other world leaders whip out their schlong and start to compare whose is bigger. And it turns into this big, how can I one up your ego? And so they puff out their chest, he puffs out his chest, and his ego gets us blown up. So unless this train changes tracks, that's the track that we're on. That's the alternate reality that we're headed for. So when Michael Moore was like, Donald Trump gets us blown up, I'm like, are you psychic? Because you're right. But this train doesn't have to stay on this track. This train can switch tracks. Just because this ship is headed for an iceberg doesn't mean it has to hit it. So that's why you'll see me, you'll see my confidence going all over the place. Where some days I'm really confident and feeling good because I see the ship like steering away from the iceberg. And then the other days I see that iceberg getting closer and I'm just like, oh, please. And so that's where it's hard to be in the situation where we're vulnerable, but we're protected. We're vulnerable, but we're protected. And so at the end of the day, the thought that just keeps soothing me and giving me comfort is knowing that our free will was taken away from us. And it's so funny to sound like sore losers or something running around saying, well, the primaries were rigged. And then everyone just blows me off as this person who's obsessed with Bernie Sanders. And it's really funny because I'm a channel. So Christine Pavlina has to move aside. So what if I told you that I wanted to vote for Hillary? What if I told you that I thought she was awesome and that I thought her being in the White House with Bill would be cool because then we would have 2 presidents in there. And that gave me peace of mind with all that knowledge and all that experience in the White House. What if I told you that? Yeah, that's what Christine Pavlina wanted. But the other side started showing me stuff about her. So then I obviously changed my mind about her. And then they started showing me stuff about Bernie. And so then I formed opinions about Bernie and I was like, oh, okay, all right. All right. It's his life purpose to be president. Understood. Got it. Having a soul whose life purpose is to be president, actually being president is like winning the universal energetic lottery. So the United States could not be any stronger at that point. Very, very good thing. Everybody's highest good. It's an awesome thing to have happen to our nation. You know, just in being a channel and finding out that there is somebody walking around whose life purpose is to be president, I'm like, cool. It is kind of cool. It's like, you know, predestination, the stars, Bernie's destiny, what he was born to do. I mean, if you think, you know, of it from just a purely dreamy celestial standpoint, it's pretty cool. Like, if you take all the political hardcore stuff out of it, you're like, that's pretty cool. We got a guy in the White House who's serving his life purpose. So that's what he was born to do. That's what he was made for. That means that all of his God-given gifts and talents are for that seat. All of his abilities, who he is, what he can do, what he says, is built for that spot. So it's like the puzzle piece that fits into the rest of the puzzle perfectly. The perfect fit for that job. So it's pretty awesome if you think about it. And then somebody having forces of nature on their side and taking that position, the divine on their side and taking that position. So you can tell Bernie's being divinely guided. If you listen to the words coming out of his mouth, they're all truth. I'm like, yep, you're divinely guided. You're divinely inspired. You know what you're doing. So anyway, so that's the thing, is the divine asked me to make this video just letting you guys know. He still has our back. Nothing's changed. He still has our back. It's not just the people rising up and fighting for a fair election and fighting for their free will back and getting up off the couch. It's a combination of that, but it's also a combination of the stars aligning for us and a rocky road becoming smoother, us having forces of nature on our side and us having the divine on our side. So it's almost like this kitten walking up to the government and saying, you took our free will away. And then the government is just like, kiss off, go away. And then all of a sudden this elephant walks up behind us and he's like, you took our free will away. And then the government's like, uh-oh, that's kind of a big elephant. Like, he's really heavy. If he stepped on us, that would be bad. So that's what it means to have like the divine standing behind us. You know, like, we do have power behind us. We do have momentum and support, energetic support, divine support. So it's kind of like a combination of us taking action, but then stepping into a flow, like stepping into a river and a current that also carries us. So we're going to have help, just so you know. With regards to the second election thing and having a fair election, the divine is still saying the first election was fraudulent. Our free will was tampered with. The DNC rigged the primaries and, you know, made everything work in Hillary's favor. And unfortunately, that choice for the DNC to align themselves with the dark aligned us with the dark, and it had the trickle-down effect. And unfortunately, that trickle-down effect is catastrophic because it resulted in Donald Trump becoming president and that alternate reality getting us all blown up. So a lot of people are like, what's wrong with this psychic on YouTube? How come she won't embrace reality? Well, I would be more likely to embrace this reality if it didn't result in my demise. So I guess like maybe I should create a march with like a big like picket sign that just says, I want a second election because I don't feel like dying. That's basically what it is. I don't really feel like blowing up, so let's have a second election. Or maybe another sign that says, I want my free will back because you took it from me. You gave me a choice of dark versus dark as opposed to light versus dark, so I want my free will back. And so that's something that the divine takes very, very seriously, is the fact that our free will was taken from us. He takes that very seriously. And that's why he's getting involved. But yeah, that lawsuit that's going on in Florida with Jared Beck, it's worse than I thought. It's worse than I thought. When I heard the DNC saying that a bunch of guys should be able to choose their candidate, you know, over some cigars in a back room, I was like, oh man, there's that arrogance. There's that arrogance. And of course, you know, they're in court, so they're going to defend themselves. But unfortunately, their decision to rig the primaries had catastrophic results for us. So you can imagine how much darkness they've attracted to themselves as a result. we have free will, but free will has consequences. And so now the DNC is going to have to face the consequences of their free will decision by all the darkness that they've attracted to themselves. So that's why I want Bernie to separate out. I don't want him to be a part of that. So that's one of the things that the divine wanted me to let you guys know, is you have to understand that he's not even acknowledging this election as legitimate or really ever having taken place. He's extremely dismissive of this election. That's why on November 8th, I felt nothing. I literally felt nothing. No energy behind it at all. And so when I was, when I tune into the other side and they don't even acknowledge this election, they don't even acknowledge Donald Trump as president. They're saying his power is an illusion. They also don't acknowledge Pence as vice president. So they're just like, no, erase and rewind. And so I was like, okay, well, everyone's freaking out that Trump's going to get impeached and then Pence is going to take over. And they're like, no. They said, we're not going to let that happen. They said, Christine, it's a fraudulent election. And they said, Donald Trump and Pence and this administration, which was all a result of fraud. They said, if the election up here is fraudulent, all of the results of that fraudulent election are null and void. They said, we want his entire administration wiped out. We want all of Donald Trump's changes wiped out. We want his administration wiped out. And they showed me an image of everyone moving backwards, like erase and rewind, where it's like, everyone's moving backwards. And that's what they showed me, is everyone just erase and rewind. It's like it never happened. Because it's declared null and void. Because it was a fraudulent election. And they said Donald Trump's presidency is based on not only a lie having to do with the primaries, because he didn't run up against who he was supposed to run up against, right? They said it's also based on a personal lie, because it's not Donald Trump's truth to be president. It's his ego. So they said, Christine, it's bigger than that. It's the election being based on a falsity itself with the DNC, and Donald Trump's decision to pursue being president based on a falsity. And just abuse of power, thirst for power, status, admiration, just to feed his ego. So they said, you've got lie on top of lie. And so Pence is part of that, because Pence is VP because of a fraudulent election. So they don't acknowledge Donald Trump, Pence, or any of the administration. And so that's why the divine is working to have everyone removed. The administration removed also. Whoever Trump appointed, they just want out. They're like, nope, all of Trump's decisions are null and void because they were made by somebody who was never supposed to be president. So you see how I can see the alternate realities where it's like we're headed down this path and we need to switch tracks and head down this other path. So that's where the divine is saying, don't worry, I have your back. I'm going to take care of you guys. But I also need you guys to get off the couch and let your voices be heard and fight for what you want and what you need. So that's why I'm 111% behind Nick Brana and the People's Party, and Cornel West. God bless you as well. You guys are awesome. Some of the YouTube videos that I've been watching with you guys, I'm, just impressed and amazed. You guys are just wonderful. So I appreciate your courage and your bravery and your conviction in moving forward with this. I donated, I signed your petition. So the thing is that here's one of the things that I'm a little worried about. I actually have personal experience with this. Calming energy, please. Thank you. See, more people need to do this, man. It's like I just drank a glass of wine. They have the power to send you calming energy when you need it. Just getting a little emo. If the other side's asking you to take a leap of faith, the way they're asking Bernie to take a leap of faith, here's what they do. They don't just show you the whole thing. Like, they don't just give you absolute proof that everything's going to be fine because there's no leap of faith. So what they do with the leap of faith is they'll show you the fingertips, and then they'll see what you do. They'll watch you in your free will. And then they'll show you the rest of the fingers. And then they'll watch you and they'll see your free will. And they'll show you the hand. They'll watch you the wrist. Like, they'll show you like things in pieces where, like, kind of making you feel better or relieving your conscience. So it's like this grandiose leap of faith becomes like a little bit easier for you until like the leap of faith is just gone, and then you don't have that opportunity to really like show your courage and bravery and trust in the divine. So that's the thing, is like, if I had to describe a leap of faith, it would be like, hey, you just won the teddy bear. And so that's why I'm a little concerned, where I feel like Nick is just kind of like, Bernie, I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna catch you. See, look at this. See, look at this. Like trying to sell Bernie. And I'm like, that's great. That's a gray area there, because the divine is only gonna give Bernie so much before Bernie still needs to do like a little jump there, you know? But I don't know. The thing is like the divine is probably going to come after Bernie from all sides. I mean, he could be getting it from like multiple angles, you know, the pressure to join the People's Party, because that's what the divine wants. I mean, I've made how many videos telling him this now in so many ways. So Bernie Sanders' choice is obvious, and I don't want, you know, people to just assume, oh, he's going to fail, the People's Party is going to fail, oh, he needs money, oh, he doesn't have enough money, oh, the DNC has the money. It's like, no, that's the divine's problem. If you take a leap of faith, everything becomes the divine's problem. And don't forget, when you do take a leap of faith, the divine does take care of you, so don't worry. You're fine, and you're also protected. I know a lot of people were worried about your safety. You're also divinely protected. Your family is divinely protected. That's why the divine should be showing you the number 44 to let you know that on clocks, license plates, receipts, etc. But this was kind of a random brain dump that I just wanted to give to everybody, just to kind of update you on what I'm seeing. Forces of nature are still at play here. The divine is reassuring us that he still has our back. I know it's scary. Every time you see the news headlines, we're like doing something else. You know, like when I saw that news headline, like Donald Trump saying, you know, I just want to warn you that major conflict is possible. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, okay. It's like you're warning us, like, hey, I want a peaceful resolution, but don't blame me if that doesn't happen. I'm just like, dude. The problem is that, like, the rest of the world sees Donald Trump as representing us. And we can't have a president representing us and managing our foreign affairs who has such a big ego and no compassion for people. That's why all the psychologists are freaking out right now. Because the psychologists know what it means to have a narcissist at the helm of the ship who has no empathy and is only concerned about their ego. So I feel for you. You know, if you're like a professional therapist or psychologist or whatever who has a lot of experience with narcissism, and you're watching this and you're just like, oh my God, this is so dangerous. This is so dangerous. I get it. So I just encourage you guys to bang your tambourines, you know, because we have to get this train to switch tracks. And if we pull together, we can do it. Because we have each other, we have the collective consciousness, and we have the divine behind us. Okay? So everyone keep the faith. Stay optimistic about the future. We're gonna get away from that iceberg, and everything's gonna be great. Music's gonna be playing. We're gonna pour the cocktails. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be good. And in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.